What's up, everybody? This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and I'm your host, Sean Dustin. This is your first time listening. Welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. It's good to have you with us this evening. Happy Memorial Day. And for all you veterans out there, thank you for your service. And, let's for all the people that sacrificed their lives for the freedom of this country and other countries around the world. Thank you. Appreciate your service. We have a great guest this evening. Her name is Kim White. She's a friend of mine. Also, a podcaster, a speaker, somebody who spends a lot of time in the spaces that we occupy on Clubhouse. For those of you who aren't familiar with Clubhouse, stick around. I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit about it, so you'll get plenty of information about Clubhouse. Do me a favor, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe and thumbs the video up. If you could, hit that little bell, ding, so you're notified whenever I come on. Also, Facebook, do me a favor, share and like this. The algorithm is not very nice to us if we don't pay them. And sorry, I don't really feel like paying them. So I depend on you, the listener, to help boost this and let people know what I'm doing and what I'm about. What else do we got? It's been a while since I've done a live stream, but Mondays and are usually the days. Well, I went back to work last week, so a little update there. I had to go back to work after 14 months of hanging out and getting paid to do what I love to do, and getting a taste of what that feels like, and having to go back to work and do real work, have a real job, has been kind of, well, it just was. Let's just say that. I'm pretty sore, or at least I was. So it's been a lazy weekend for me, just trying to recuperate and get back into the swing of things. A lot of other things are happening as well. The Back from Broken Speaker Summit, that is going to be this Saturday and Sunday, the 5th and the 6th of June. So that'll be happening, and we'll be doing that as well. All the links and everything to this show will be in the show notes or the description of this broadcast. So direct links are in there. So all you just got to do is go there, hit the link or something, and voila, it will take you to where you want to go. So without further ado, we are going to get to the show. We're going to start this. When we come back after these messages, my guest, Kim, will be here with me. So we'll talk to you in a minute.
Sean Dustin spent time in federal and state prison for drug trafficking and fraud. Upon release in 2006, he had nothing but the clothes on his back, a bag of mail, and legal paperwork. In 2010, he kicked a long-time methamphetamine habit and started the long climb back up the ladder of life. This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. If you want transparency and authenticity, you're in the right place. This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and this is Sean Dustin.
All right. Hey, Kim, how you doing?
Good. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you. We've got a couple of visitors down in Clubhouse right now, Miss Denise and Miss. Thank you for joining us today. I have to let you guys know that this is being recorded. So during the broadcast, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. And when there's an opening in the conversation, I will definitely bring you up and let you ask your question. So let's get to it. Kim, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, Sean.
Let me give a little bit of backstory about how I know Kim. We met on Clubhouse. I think the first thing that we actually did was a speaker sheet Zoom session. And that's really where I learned a little bit about Kim and how giving she is, as a matter of fact. She's always down and willing to help, any kind of thing that, at least when I'm listening, somebody has a question, somebody is stuck somewhere, or just giving value is something you're really good at doing, and you always step up to help people. So for that, I want to say thank you, and I appreciate you.
Thank you for saying that, Sean. It's always my pleasure to help you and be in a room with you because you add value as well. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you back. So
You're
tell me
welcome.
tell me a little bit about yourself. I know that you've been through a number of different things in your life. You put down on the paper, and some of it is in the description of what you've gone through in your life. So, I mean, this is a Bottoms and Life Struggles show, nowhere to go but up. We're going to touch on a few different things, but if you have any struggles that you got through in your life, and you want to share how that was and how you made it through to the other side, I definitely appreciate it.
Well, I can tell you, we don't have long enough to talk about all the different struggles that I have been through, but I am thankful that I am here today to tell about them. I'm thankful that I have the opportunity to encourage other people that even when it looks like you are at the bottom, you really do have the ability to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it is on you. Maybe the circumstance, or whatever trauma that you went through may not have been your fault, but how you respond and how you react to those situations is definitely in your court. The ball's on you. Nobody is going to pick you up and dust you off. You got to do that yourself.
No, I totally agree. I found myself about 20 plus years ago. I found myself running for my life with my children and had nowhere to go. We were in a position that was not good, and we had to do what we had to survive. And I can remember putting my babies to bed on broken down cardboard boxes in the back of a warehouse and watching over them through the night and thinking, how did I get there? Like, how did I get to that place? And what was I going to do? Because I didn't have anything. Basically, I had no money to feed them. I had to figure things out really quickly. And because of the situation I had been in, I was super isolated. So I did not have the circle of friends. I did not have family around. I did not have any of those things because the relationship I had been in, the marriage I had been in, was very isolating. So when you come to the place of not really having anyone around you and having the responsibility to do something different, everything in my life changed. Everything in my, I think everything in my DNA changed, actually. I think it took that situation to create a great change in my life for my baby's sake.
Yeah, that I couldn't imagine what that would be like. I've never been homeless. I mean, I've been close, but I've never been in a place where like I didn't have shelter, right? Or I had to search for somewhere that, like, a makeshift shelter. And having a daughter of my own now, I have two of them, but the 3.5-year-old, he'll be 4 in August. Like, there's just something about being a parent that just what instinctively kicks in is, I will do without to make sure that you have. And, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And, I'm glad that I haven't been put in that position. But I mean, if I would, that's what it would be. I would go without before my kids ever would.
Yes. And,
So,
I totally agree that, you step up as a parent if you're okay. My ex-husband, their daddy, was not okay, and I don't want to bash anyone. I just want to say that too. He was a extreme alcoholic, and he did not reason. Like, he wasn't reasonable. You can't reason with someone who is not reasonable. So no defense or no unforgiveness, none of that. I just want to say that for the record, that I had the ability to do something different because of where I was in life. And I think that makes a big difference in the choices that we do make when we see that it really is our responsibility and it really is something we have to figure out.
yeah, well, when you talk about, your ex being an alcoholic or struggling with addiction, and not being okay, I was that person, and my first daughter, that was exactly what her mom had to do. She had to make a choice, to for her, for her daughter. And I was not. She feared for the safety of our daughter because of my lifestyle and my life choices. And so I completely I don't blame her. After it happened, of course, while I was still in my active addiction, I was like, oh, she did it on purpose. And, she waited till I went to jail to serve me with the papers and everything else, which is a complete lie. She did not. I just didn't show up because I was a coward. And I felt that it was, would it be easier for me to not ever have to pay child support? Oh, I'm getting off the hook. And, she'd be better off without me, and all these things, which probably go through a lot of men's, minds when, something like that happens. And let me tell you, I struggled with that for years after, even though I've convinced myself of all of that. I punished myself subconsciously for years. And so, yeah, just because you think you're making the right choice at one point in time, as being that person, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get away with it. So go ahead.
Well, I want to say, like, out loud, one of the things I appreciate so much about meeting you on Clubhouse and learning more about your story is the fact that you are so transparent about it. You are not in that place anymore. And the fact that you openly share the things you wish you could have changed, I just want to say out loud how much I appreciate that, because you are making a difference for other people who may be going through like what you and I have both kind of gone through in the last 20 years, but it may be something that can help them not make those same choices.
I hope so. That's what the point of doing all of this is that, to make a difference in other people's lives, but to make that small difference in the world. Mm-hmm. If we can change people, or give them other options of, how to navigate through things, it doesn't have to be the way that it was for me or the way that it was for you. You can listen to what we've been through and what we've found on the other side, because that's really where the magic is. The magic is always in the struggle, but it's just a matter of being able to stay in that struggle and sit in it and learn the lessons that it has for you.
I think it's really important to acknowledge too that it's not comfortable for me to tell that story. It was a difficult time in my life that I don't want to revisit. Like, I don't want to go back there, but the reason we share those things, and I'm sure the reason you share those things, is because of what you just said. If someone else can take that story and realize there's hope and realize that they can get through the whatever the rough thing in their life is, I think it's really important. And it's almost a responsibility for us, because I feel like I am so blessed
Mhm.
that it's a responsibility to share, that you don't have to stay in those places.
No, absolutely. And by not telling your story, by not being a voice, I mean, you have no idea whose life you could be saving for that particular moment.
Yes.
You know, that might be the one thing that somebody out there needed to hear to keep them going one more day. And so that's powerful. And if nothing else, do it for that.
Absolutely.
So let's move on. We'll move on now. Thank you for sharing that piece, intimate piece about yourself. I appreciate it, and your transparency with that as well. I understand that how difficult that would be to share. So you're a speaker as well. You also have a business called My Sexy Business, and I love your explanation of it. Especially, you're a what is it, a princess married to with your cowboy from Texas, and all that stuff. So I mean, that's really your brand, right?
Mm-hmm. It is. I lead with that because, and I am pretty like bad to the bone in business. I will just tell you, but I want people to know that you don't have to be serious all the time, So I do lead with some of the fun things to make sure people know what our flavor is. I don't want people coming to me for business things and then being surprised when they find a 54-year-old princess married to a Texas cowboy who, who travels the US in our fifth wheel. Like, I don't want people to be expecting something different. I have been the CEO of an oil and gas company. I have been in my own office building. I have done those things, but I get to choose what I do, and this is what I choose. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that it's a long distance from, the first story I told you to today, but it is a sexy life we live.
It's a free life that you live. It seems like, you got the freedom to be able to travel wherever you want. As I'm a fifth wheel owner myself, and I lived in my rig for all of 2020 pretty much. And, I think close to 3 years in the time that I've had it, and, off and on. And, I always thought I'll never be homeless. As long as I can keep paying for this thing, I'll never be homeless. I don't care. I'll go and go to a Costco somewhere and stay in the parking lot if I have to, and go get a gym membership and be able to shower in there if I need to. It definitely opens up the doors for you to be able to live a more free life, and that's badass.
I think so too, Sean. We have been ours. We've been in ours for 3.5 years now, and we love it. Like, there are some things that you give up because we have like 424 square feet is all we have for business and life. But the freedom tastes good compared to, having all the space to just have a lot of junk. And that's what we would have, So I appreciate this life.
Yeah, I still have a storage that I need to get rid of. And it's like, it's really funny. It's like, we're so attached to stuff, right? This stuff. Like, what do I have in there that's so important that I can't get rid of? Well, I don't know. I have all my 3 and 4Xs that just in case I blow up again, and so I don't have to go and buy new clothes. But I mean, is that really helping me, or is that putting in the back of my head that, oh, well, go ahead and eat that extra taco because you've got clothes you can go get from from the storage if you need them.
That's hysterical. I look at that also and think, how many people pay, and we're included. I'm not looking at other people and saying this, we've done the same thing, but how many people could have bought all new furniture or all new furnishings for their house while they were paying that what seems to be not that big of amount until you start adding it up. You put something in storage for 2 years and you could have bought a brand new furniture, you could have bought brand new kitchen stuff or whatever it is. So when we downsized, it was the most amazing feeling. We had a hard time, being honest. We had a hard time at first, but we started getting a taste of freedom, and it started building momentum of, we don't need this either, and we can get rid of this, and we can get rid of this, and we can enjoy ourselves more by not having things.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Now that I'm in a house and the rig is outside, I got a place that I was able to store all of my vehicles. Like, so now there was 3 vehicles, 2 jet skis, and the 5th wheel are able to be where I'm at. It's expensive, but yeah, I want. What keeps me from doing that is my daughter, because I co-parent, and so if I go on the road, it's got to be for a reason and paying me enough money to where I can fly back on the weekends and still see my daughter, whatever I need to do. I mean, because that's really what I went from co-parenting, and when I went back to work, I only get her on the weekends now. So I mean, I would do that, but like I said, it would have to be something where, maybe I'm speaking across the country and taking it and driving from place to place to place and able to do that. So, I mean, hopefully, because I really, 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 really want that freedom, man.
I want to encourage you, though, that there are seasons in our life that change. And we are empty nesters, my husband and I. So that makes a big difference we don't have kids in school. We don't have little ones anymore. And if we did, I don't believe we would do this. I don't believe that would have been the season for us to take off and do the things we're doing now. We feel like teenagers ourselves, because we get to choose what we do. But I also want to encourage you that being, in that position of co-parenting is so much better than traveling around the country. Like, that is one thing, because you can always travel around the country later, but having that time with your little girl, that can't be like recovered. So I think you're making a great choice.
Well, thank you. And every time I think about it, I think the same thing. And, it's, but it still doesn't. I mean, I've got the thing just keeps pulling me. Come on, you got it. You got it just sitting out there. It's just wasting away. You could be doing something in it.
That's funny.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So being on the road, how many different states have you gone to since you started?
We've been in over 40 states since we started. And I will tell you, in 2017, I actually spoke in 42 states and Mexico that year. So I don't suggest that to anyone. I'm going to tell you, doing it over time where you have more time in each place is a lot better than trying to do too much, especially when you want that freedom. And that was a hard lesson for me, because it looks very glamorous to be a speaker and on tour and doing those things, but there's a very unglamorous or unsexy side to it where it is too much if you don't watch yourself. If you don't watch how much you say yes, you definitely can create an unsexy life in business doing that.
Yeah, that kind of goes with anything, though. I mean, you have to know what your boundaries are in no matter what it is you're doing, because wanting to do all of the things can land you in places you don't want to be emotionally and mentally. you know,
Yes.
without having time for yourself or feeling like, you know, whatever it is, you really got to check that. So what what was your favorite place that you said that you stayed at? Because I know there's a lot of different RV parks. You know, you got some that are really, really nice, and you have some that are okay. You know, it just depends on where you're at and what's available.
I will tell you, we are in a park right now that is absolutely beautiful. And we have puppies. We have two puppies. And the puppy park here is really nice. There's a place to hike by a creek and down through the woods. There, there's a field of sunflowers right now that are, just beautifully in bloom. I think this is one of my favorite parks we've been to. They have a campfire every Saturday night. My husband and I are not touristy. Like a lot of people like the tourist things, but we like the campfire. We like the hanging out and meeting the other people that are in the RV park. This is a very nice campground, and it's in San Antonio, Texas, just south of San Antonio. So there's
Oh,
lots
nice.
to do in this area. There's a lot of we like farmers markets. I mean, those are some of the things that maybe not everybody would think would be great, but we like that. We like that we can go do that. And so this area has been really nice. It's going to be hard to leave.
I bet. I like those places that have a lot of different amenities to where you really don't have to go very far from the resort yourself. You can just, you know, there's plenty of things to do. The laundry facilities too are a plus when they have them on site, because there's nothing I hate worse more than having to go to a laundromat.
Yes. Well, and I'll be honest, Sean, we're pretty spoiled because we actually have a washer and dryer. That is one of the things that when we got ours, we didn't at first, and I can tell you it was so worth the losing the square feet to have it and the upgrade for it, because I'm with you. I don't want to go spend 3 hours in a laundromat doing those things. So we have to take our king size comforter, like we do have to take it to the laundromat, but we don't have to do it often because we have a cover on it. So that is one good thing, but I am with you. I don't want to do that either.
So one thing that I have noticed, and because I recently, because where I'm working at right now is probably almost an hour and a half to 2 hours away. And so for me, if I'm not going to be around my daughter during the week, then I want as much time that I can, you know what I mean, and not be commuting like 4 hours a day. So I started looking in the area of, you know, different campgrounds that, you know, maybe I could go and stay during the weekend. What I've noticed is that now that everybody can work from wherever, and there is a shortage in units right now, that because in 2020 nobody really produced anything because nobody had any money to buy anything, and so now there's a shortage and a waiting list for most RVs and boats. Any recreational type of things people can't get right now. And so what I noticed was that the parks have raised their rates.
They have.
And it's like places where you would normally, you know, because it's not uncommon to, you know, spend 600, 700 a month. You know, that's a decent price to me, you know, for a monthly spot. You know, maybe you don't have electricity included, but I mean, 600, $700, that's reasonable.
Yes.
They want 1,600 in Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And that's across the board at a few different ones. And that doesn't even include electricity.
Denver, I think, was 3,600 plus electric.
What?
Yeah. So it definitely,
Wow.
and that was not a resort kind of campground. Even that was our slide outs like would be touching the other slide outs almost. So yes, they have definitely stepped up the prices, but I think a lot of people that were impacted by the changes in 2020. I think that they have also been able to take off and do like family things. They've been able to, because the kids aren't in school, or a lot of the time they weren't in school, and they could take off and do some things. So I do think that there is definitely a shortage of RVs, and I think there is a high demand for being able to go places. We don't like being locked up. I think everybody has cabin fever, or I don't know what you call it in this season, but it's definitely that. It's definitely cabin fever.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody's starting to move about the country. Now that people are getting vaccinated, and it seems like things are starting to open up and get normal. And a lot of the folks that were, bound to the cities are no longer bound to the cities. They can work wherever they want. Millennials are not really. They don't find any purpose in owning homes. They don't. That's not their thing. Like our family. My generation was, go to college, get your job, get your family, get your house, get your, 3.5 kid, whatever it is, 2.5 kids, your dog, the picket fence, the dream, the American dream, get all that stuff. But I mean, really what you're getting is you're getting yourself into debt and being stuck to debt slavery, basically, because how many people out there really, I mean, I know a lot of folks out there own things. I know, but I mean, for myself, I own debt. I don't own anything except for a hoopty car. It's like, and some jet skis that are paid off. But I mean, for the majority of the stuff, it's like I own debt. I don't own anything. And so I don't think that they're playing by that same game. I think that they're more into experiences and going and doing things and making memories and making things happen. So it's a little bit different of a strategy for them.
And I love that they've learned from our mistakes as far as, I do think you need roots, but we have roots in different ways. Like and I'm talking about my husband and I, we have roots in a different way than most people because we are not in one location staying. We are all over, but we also go to see, our people. We still have that opportunity, not near as often as I would like, but I think that I can't get enough of that anyway. I love people. That's one of my things is I have a circle that I adore and I want to spend time with them. But because of Clubhouse in particular, our circle of people are actually global now. We have a lot of opportunities to meet people that are in other countries, and it's amazing how much relationship you really can build being a digital nomad, because that's what I've learned to call it, is being able to do business and build relationships while we're on the road.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's a good segue into Clubhouse. And our next topic, which is going to be shareyourpod.com. But before that, for anybody that's out there listening, I know the folks that are watching can see what I have up on the screen, which is your website, www.mysexybusiness.com. Go to that, and there, Kim has a free gift for you, a free digital copy of her magazine. And so, yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about that magazine? And there are direct links in the description. So if you're going to be listening to this, hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. If you're going to be listening to this once this is produced onto the podcast platforms, look for all these direct links in the description or the show notes, and you'll be able to find direct links for all of that. So go ahead and explain that to me, or tell us about it.
Wanted to say thank you for doing that, because I always love the opportunity to share. We started a magazine, and again, I'm going to go back to we are on the road. We are not in one location, so the fact that we can do that is pretty amazing to me still. We we have it started in 2020, but we have an amazing magazine. It's really for entrepreneurs, for speakers, for podcasters, for authors. That's who it's for, is to help them, encourage them, and inspire them to do things, because we feature people who we have met along the way that are doing extraordinary things, but they're like what I would call ordinary people like me. They're someone who has been through some things and they're not afraid to share it. So I love that we can create that for other people, create that opportunity to give them an invitation to meet people. So that is a lot of what our magazine is about.
That's awesome, man. I like that. I like what you just said. And
Thank
and we have a
you.
comment from our friend Doina, who just recently got married. She got hitched up in what was it, Vegas?
Hello, Doinya.
How are you? Congratulations on your recent nuptials. And you also just moved to the country from, I can't remember where it was that you moved from, but I do know that you're now living in the United States in Colorado, isn't it?
It's Colorado.
Yeah, I'm jealous because I'm sure it's nicer there than it is here.
Especially if it's in the hundreds, Sean.
Yeah, it's 100 degrees where I'm at right now, so it's maybe 101. I have not been out all weekend. The air conditioner has been on, and I've been hiding until the evening time because I don't want to go outside and melt.
Wow. Oh, thank you, Doinya. I think you're awesome too. She's so
And
sweet.
and there really is an amazing group of people, especially the Real Talk podcasting rooms and groups. Tanner, Brandon, Raphael, Raph, which Tanner calls him. All of these folks in there that I've connected with, a lot of them, and you're getting great information and a lot of support in whatever it is that you're doing. And I really love listening to it. I listen to it on my way to work now, since I'm up that early. I usually wasn't up that early in the mornings, but I don't know, man. There's something about Clubhouse that definitely has changed the game for me as far as podcasting goes, and where I can consume my information.
Oh, I agree, Sean. I think that Clubhouse has opened basically the opportunity for more community. It has definitely given us the opportunity to learn from other podcasters. I think that's really one of the biggest parts that has influenced me, is that I can learn from other podcasters doing amazing things, just like you're doing. I think it's awesome that you have, done this. And I was laughing because you're on what, 130 something episodes? That's
Yeah.
a lot. That is a lot. And most people don't realize that, pod fade is real. Podcast fade is real. And so for you to have made it that far it tells of your character.
Well, thank you, but it is a struggle still. Just because I've gone that far, the reason, and I always kind of liken this journey to weight loss, because the reason why most people don't succeed in their weight loss journey is they don't see results, and they don't see them fast enough. Let's just say that, and when you're not seeing results fast enough, it's really hard for you to want to stick around and do it, because it's like, well, what am I doing it for? Because we're creatures of wanting instant gratification. We don't want to wait around and and put in the hard work and all that stuff. We want the easy way. We want that magic pill. What I'll pay for it. I mean, just where do I get it?
Exactly.
And most things in life, if you're not willing to put the work in, you're not going to get the rewards. And podcasting is just like that because, the only kind of way that we get feedback, like I hardly ever get any things in emails. People don't send me emails and questions. I mean, sometimes I ask, but most of the time I forget. Honestly, I forget to say, hey, reach out and email me if you got whatever. So what I count on is those reviews on iTunes. And those are few and far between. I mean, I can go 2 months without getting one. And, feedback in as a content creator is really important, to kind of know what, am I doing something that you like, you don't like, tell me something,
Yeah.
And so if you're not in it for the right reason, if you don't have some sort of passion that's driving you to continue to do this, more than likely it's not going to last for you.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And I hope that this is okay and you don't cut this out, because I'm going to just tell everyone who's listening, if you haven't left a review or you haven't subscribed to, this podcast, please take time to go do that, because it really does mean a lot to podcasters. It means a lot to know that you're listening and that you are hearing the message and it's impacting your life. So if you are listening, Sean will probably is turning red because I was not, I probably wasn't supposed to do that, but I still think that that's important. The call to action really needs to be, please do go give a review. Please do go subscribe, because the numbers are the only way that we know our efforts are impacting someone.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, it's a labor of love. It's a passion project. And it's also, a lot of stubbornness on my part, because I just refuse to be beaten by, I'm not going to allow that to take over what I want to do and how I feel like I'm impacting, or leaving my mark, or, a lot of it is, my legacy, I guess you would say, because once my little one is old enough, she'll have all of this content to be able to go through and find out who her dad is.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that, I mean, that was unintended, but now, I thought about that a while ago. I'm like, if nothing else, maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the why, wrapped up in a bunch of other whys.
I think you can have multiple whys, though. I think you can have multiple layers, just like an onion. You can peel the layers of, it might be the core as to why you want to do it as your daughter, but there's also how many other people that, as you peel those layers back and as you're transparent and as you bring guests on who are transparent, how many lives are you impacting? And that's a huge legacy. That is a huge thing, to be a blessing to so many people.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I agree. So we're at 44 minutes. I have a hard stop here in about 10 minutes. So let's get into the, where's it at? The shareyourpod.com that you're a part of, that you're helping with. Well, I don't know. I know you're a part of it. So explain to me what this is, and to the listeners, what shareyourpod.com or Share Your Pod Summit is.
It's actually a summit for podcasters and for those who are interested in podcasting, or those who want to support podcasters, because there are a lot of people who don't have any interest in creating one, but they would like to know where, the ones they listen to came from. So Brandon Ushio and I have formed a collaboration, and we have 60 plus guests going to be on the summit. They're all podcasters at different levels, so that we can, ask them the question of why they started their podcast and what they wish they had known. That's another thing. But then we also have an opportunity to let them, share what they want to share. So to me, it's very exciting. It's July 30th and 31st. It will be a busy, busy time, but we are going to have like a meet and greet and an after party. Like, we're going to really play it up big because we can't do it live this year. We don't want to take the chance of not being able to. So it's all online. We are excited. We are super excited. And Real Talk Podcasting, Roman, Tanner, and Pedro are sponsoring it. So the Real Talk podcasting community from Clubhouse is, a part of it as well. So it's really, in my eyes, it's going to be an epic event that people will talk about for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of it. I know I submitted for it, so hopefully there'll be some action there. But even if there isn't, I'm still going to check it out because that's just kind of what we do. We support each other in whatever our efforts are across the board. When we can. And that's kind of what community is, right? Especially in the online digital community, it's a bunch of people sharing each other's stuff, trying to boost the signals and amplify the signals of people that we respect and we work with. And, because we're all colleagues, we're all content creators. And so, I think that's the difference between this type of business versus the other type of business, because there's no feast or famine here. Everybody, we may be in similar lanes. We may have podcasts or live streams or content that we put out that's in a similar lane, but they're all different because you can't have my story and I can't have your story in my flavor and my spin on whatever it is that I do. They're all unique in their own ways.
I absolutely agree. And, you bring up a really good point of you can listen to multiple podcasts or you can even have multiple podcasts, but it is you. I cannot be confident. I cannot be sexy being you. I can only learn to be sexy being my own authentic self. So I think when you say that, the speakers that we have had submit their applications, I want to encourage everybody it's not too late to submit an application because everyone gets a surprise. Everyone gets something for doing it and you don't want to miss it. Like, you don't want to miss being part of it. And that's part of the community part for us is I don't want it to just be the chosen 60 that benefits. Everyone who applies will benefit. Everyone who registers will benefit. So I just want to say that too, is we believe in giving. We definitely believe in giving. So.
Yeah, well, if all you got to do is go to a Real Talk Podcasting Clubhouse room, and when there's scheduled events, and you're going to get something out of your time there if you're a content creator. There's tons of information. Brandon has definitely got a lot of tools that he talks about and gives away for free, and I've gotten some of them myself. From him that he's put out there that from structuring a show to, everything you could possibly need is, you can find there. So definitely kudos for that, man. Because once I got to Clubhouse, most of everything that, because when I first started, it was just the Facebook groups, right? The podcasting groups on Facebook. And it was more of, you can get some information in those threads, but, a lot of it is that most of the information you couldn't get unless it was behind a paywall. Hey, come to my podcasting 101 class, and I'll teach you how to be a podcaster, right? And it's like, all right, you tag $500, what? And so when you're first starting out, you don't have that. You don't have all that. And then when I went to Clubhouse, it was like, holy moly, all this stuff is not behind a paywall. And I thought I was the shizzle, right? But because I've been in it for 2 years, thought I was doing things. And, when I got to Clubhouse, I was like, oh, I'm not doing anything. Like, these guys are way, I'm like, I need to just be quiet and listen. and
I love
I felt like I felt like a beginner all over again, and really had me rethinking what I was doing, and it's like, oh, well, how do I tweak this to do that, to do this. And it's always, I mean, it's almost like a living, breathing thing if you have a podcast, because there's so
It
many
is.
different parts to it. And it's a lot of it is throwing darts and seeing what sticks, seeing, adjusting, changing this, doing a little bit here, tweak here, and, trying to get that right juju, right?
Well, and I want to address something you just said because it's really important. Like even behind the paywalls, I think it's really important if you're wanting to fast track something, there is a way to do that, getting the the courses or the classes. But one of the things that Real Talk Podcasting has done is they literally answer questions. You may not need a whole course to do something, but you do have a question about which mic to buy, or how to organize your podcast, or scheduling tools, or there's all kinds of questions that you have that don't really involve an entire class. So I think that is another thing to say is everybody's in business to stay in business. If we don't make money, then we won't stay in business. But they give so freely to the questions that are asked. You can, 5 days a week, they are in there answering whatever you have a question about. And you don't find that very often.
No, you don't. Not at all. So for those of you who don't know, because this link is not in the description, it'll make it into the actual when I upload it to the podcast platforms. But for those of you out there who are listening, it's www.shareyourpod.com, and there you can register and get all the information you need about the summit. And so let's see. Well, let's kind of wind down here because it's 53 after. We've been going for about 51 minutes, and I've really enjoyed my time with you, Kim. As usual, I love talking to you. I love what you bring to the table and your selflessness when it comes to giving your time and your knowledge to whoever it is you're involved with. And at any given point in time, you're always willing to be that hand to help somebody out.
Thank you. I appreciate being here, Sean.
So for those of you who haven't seen yet, if you want to connect with Kim, like I said, she's got a free digital copy of her magazine down there that you can find in the description. Also, you can go to www.mysexybusiness.com, and I imagine all of your social media and everywhere else to connect to you is on your website, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate having you on the show. I hope you enjoyed your time with me as well.
Very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And hang out for a second. And anybody else out there, I have another one starting at 6 p.m. And that one, if you're interested in mushrooms, all of the different kind of varieties of mushrooms, including psilocybin, I have a guy coming on who owns the Haight Street Mushroom Shop or the Haight Street Shroom Shop in San Francisco, California. We'll also be talking about Senate Bill 519, which is a decriminalization of psychedelics in either the state of California or just in the county of San Francisco. But either way, they're voting on it on Friday, the 4th of June. So that's really big information for the folks out there, like the veterans and PTSD survivors. They're having a lot of great success with psilocybin and using that in a therapeutic way to help people get through their traumas, and also end of life folks, people that have terminal illnesses and that are getting ready to transfer, over and get over that fear. Mushrooms, have really helped in aiding in that process. They did a study at Johns Hopkins where they were able to do this, and they had great results. So I'm really, really stoked to be able to talk to James and that'll be on Clubhouse as well. So Miss Denise, if you're down there, when I shut this down, I will be opening up another one at 6 p.m., piping in the James McConchy and the Hate Street Shroom Shop. So thanks, Kim. I appreciate it. And everybody else, until next time, if I don't catch you on the next stream, we'll be coming back to you next week. Unless somebody does something this week or somebody no, it'll be next week. I don't have time to do it. I don't have time to do another one during the week. I got to get ready for this summit that I'm doing and speaking at this weekend. So yeah, these two will be the last one for the week, and you'll be able to catch it again next Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. So until next time, stay true to yourself. Keep it 100. No. I messed it up. Keep it 100. Stay true to yourself. Everything else is just noise.
You've been listening to the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. Sean is a single dad, a union blue-collar guy, and he spent time in federal and state prison for drug trafficking and fraud. When he was released from prison in 2006, all he had was the clothes on his back, a bag of mail, and some paperwork. Since then, he's turned his life around and shares the struggles and successes on this podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you were moved. To connect to the show, book a guest spot. For merch, Patreon, PayPal, and social media links, go to linktr.ee/nowhere to go but up. On Instagram at Nowhere to Go But Up Now. On Twitter at But Up Now. On the YouTube channel at Nowhere to Go But Up Podcast. See you next time.